literally don't know enough about you, I'm going to have to just interview you like I'm interviewing you for the first time in our lives, like we've never met before, because we've never met before. So this is happening live. This is great.
Live.
That's brilliant.
So we'll just pause for 30 seconds for people to join us and
Yeah.
make sure that we are past 1 o'clock. So I think we should probably start. So welcome everyone who's been able to join us for a lovely chat we're expecting between Paterson Joseph, who many of you may know, and Sanabil, who some of you may know. I hope so. I'm going to very briefly introduce them and tell you how this is going to run. So Paterson is quite a very well-known actor in the UK and a playwright, and has been making films and TV shows. Some of you may know him from The Peep Show or from The Beach, is a film he was also in. Most recently, a very well-known book now series about racism called Noughts and Crosses. He's been helping us out this season, this autumn, to understand more about how discrimination operates in education. And he's very knowledgeable about this subject because he actually experienced some of the issues himself as a child in the UK. And today he's here to talk with Sanabil, who's speaking to us from Lahore in Pakistan. And we're very hopeful that all of the wires will hold this conversation together as best as can be, but do bear with us if we get a few glitches along the way. We'll do our best to sort anything out. Sanabil is a Christian student currently studying at a college, and she's also had some experiences of discrimination in education. And Paterson and Sanabil are just going to talk about their different experiences and maybe learn a little bit about each other over the course of the next few minutes. We'd love to have some audience participation in this chat. So there is a way that you can let us know about any questions or comments that you have during the conversation. Just put any comment or question on your Twitter or Facebook and use the hashtag MRGSofaTalk. And our team will pick up the questions and see how many of them we can return to at the end of the conversation. But for now, I'm going to hand you over to Paterson, who's going to see what he can find out about Sanabil in the next few minutes.
Well, good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Yes, lovely introduction by Claire. I'm Paterson. I've really had a very lucky life in that even though my parents didn't have a lot of means and they were very different to everybody who was surrounding them when they first came to England in the 1950s, I've managed to not only have a career in a job that I really love and enjoy, the making of stories, really. I've also have siblings who have managed to negotiate being different, being singled out for being different, and even through all of our educational life, having to face these challenges, but we did, and we managed it. So I feel very fortunate. Our conditions in the United Kingdom are not as tough as in many other places in the world. So Sanabil, hello, it's nice to meet you for the first time. I've heard a lot about you. So my conditions, as I was saying, in England were pretty tough, but not as tough, I imagine, as what you've had to go through. So can you just, first of all, tell me what you do now? Why are you so famous? Everybody talks about you. Everybody wants me to speak to you. What are you doing right now, before we talk about where you've come from, that you could tell me about?
I do nothing. I just want to that people know about how we felt as a minority when we are facing any kind of discrimination. When I was discriminated by my teacher, the feeling which I feel that day was not like, I don't know, but I can't explain that incident in my words. I just try to put on a paper uh, so that the people can read my story and feel, maybe they feel my pain, what I feel at that time.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, and I again, I don't know your story, Sanabil, so I'd like to hear more of it. But could you first tell me, if I was going to ask you, what does Sanabil do right now? How would you describe yourself and who you are and what you do?
Okay, I am a student. I am now I am doing my bachelor's in medical sciences.
Right. And how
And
old are you, Sanabil? That sounds very, you sound very young to be doing something like that already.
I am 21-year-old.
Right. So you're going pretty fast then, and you're about to do your studies at university level. That's where you are already.
Yes, yes, yes.
So keep going. What are you intending to do with that?
After that, I will continue. I will going in my field and do my work, which is basically based on a lab technology. So yeah. And
Right.
if I have a chance, or maybe I get a chance, then I also try to work, or like I want to aware people's about uh, discrimination and hate speech type of things. So yeah.
Right. So it's pretty amazing then, given what you're about to tell me about what you've been through, that you've made it this far, that you have succeeded so well. So yours is a good story to hear, because sometimes we hear the stories and they're so sad and we think, I don't know how anybody can deal with this situation. But it's good to talk to people like you, Sanabil, to say people are able to survive even the toughest circumstances and get themselves an education. But it's how you did it that I suppose we're mostly interested in. So do you have brothers and sisters who also studied with you or studied at university?
Yeah, they all are study. I have two brothers and I'm the only one sister in my family, and they all are they both are studied in their classes.
They are younger.
They're younger.
Right.
Younger than me, yeah.
Right. But when they see you, Sanabil, they must be like, oh, well, that's what we will do. We will go to university because that's what Sanabil do, that's what we're going to do.
Actually, they said that I inspire them.
Of course
to
you
fight in their company, in their class, in their school, with their friends, with their environment. So they said they inspires me.
Well,
Inspire from me.
You must get a lot of people saying that you're an inspiration, because from what you're saying, it sounded like you were subject to some discrimination at school. And so you're heroic to them in that you've survived this and are doing really well. So can you tell me a little bit about why you experienced this discrimination at school? Why, for somebody from the outside who doesn't know Pakistan and doesn't know Lahore at all, they would say, well, what's the reason? You're obviously Pakistani, you've lived there all your life, so what would be the problem? So can you explain to me what your situation was?
My story is like, because I am a minority. I am belong to a minority. I am a Christian by my faith. So from my childhood, I faced a lot of discrimination. Not a lot of, but we faces, as a minority, we faces discrimination. We faces hate speech in our schools, in our college, in our university. But when we are not as younger as I am, like now I am 21. But when I was I don't have a mind to understand the things, I just let them go, that it's okay, ignore them, let it be, because I don't have a power to fight against them or take a stab and take a stand for myself, because now it is very, very, very important just to stand for yourself. If you don't take stand for yourself, then what you do for others, but what I will do for my community as a minority if I didn't take stand for myself. So I when my write an assignment and going to my related subject professor to submit my assignment, and he said that my subject was Islamiyat at that time, and he said this was not the topic which I assigned you, but I tell him that he said this is the topic you signed, but he said that if you don't do as I say, then I will fail you in your exams, or I will not giving you marks, so you will you will not attempt to go for the next semester.
Right.
And
but
I will
why did he what I'm trying to get at, Sanabil, is you say you're a Christian and a minority. Now, from a stranger point of view, like me or people who might be listening or watching, what is your background in, so that what is it that they're being prejudiced about, and the fact that you're Christian, why is that a problem where you are? Just explain to people who don't know your situation.
अगर आप बेशक इसको उर्दू में बताओ इजी हो गया और मैं उसको वजह क्या थी आप बेशक उर्दू में बताओ
क्योंकि हम क्रिश्चियंस हैं
आप बोलो मैं बीच में
because we are Christians, so पाकिस्तान में क्रिश्चियंस को ज़्यादा इज्जत नहीं दी जाती है, because we are not a part of being Christian. हमें minority ही समझा जाता है, हमें यही समझा जाता है कि हम लोग एक मतलब बाहर से आए हुए हैं, हम लोग इस मुल्क के नहीं हैं.
So being a Christian or being a member of a religious minority community, it's being generally perceived that we people do not belong from this land, though our forefathers have been living here, but it is a general perception that we are, you know, we have came here from somewhere outside of this continent.
That's very interesting. Yes, keep going.
कि तुम क्रिश्चियन हो, मतलब हम लोगों को वो दर्जा या वो इक्वालिटी नहीं दी जाती इस मुल्क, इस मतलब जो हमारा जहाँ हम रह रहे हैं या जहाँ पर रहने वाले जितने भी मिनॉरिटी से बिलोंग करते हैं लोग, उनको जो है वो इस मुल्क में वो इक्वालिटी की बेसिस नहीं दी जाती हैं. तो उन्होंने मतलब मुझे ये कहा कि तुम क्रिश्चियन हो और अगर तुम अपना मज़हब चेंज कर लेती हो तो देन मैं तुम्हें पास कर दूंगा इसमें. और लेकिन एक्चुअल में उन्होंने मुझे, मेरी डेट आउट हो चुकी थी असाइनमेंट की, और उसके बाद उन्होंने काफ़ी मतलब देर तक मेरे साथ इस तरह किया कि उन्होंने मुझे, मैं रोज़ एक नई असाइनमेंट बना के लेके जाती थी, रोज़ एक नई असाइनमेंट बना के लेके जाती थी. एक्चुअली में मेरा सब्जेक्ट था इस्लामियात.
So basically what my teacher or my professor did was, in general, the religious minorities are, as I said earlier, not being perceived as an outsider. So generally, the religious minorities are not given that kind of equal footing or equality as a citizen in the society. So what my teacher and professor did was that when I went to him with that assignment of mine, so he asked me if I can convert to Islam, then he can give me good numbers and he can give me good grades so I can pass on. But then he kept on pending my assignment, and the date was expired, on which date I was supposed to submit my assignment. And then again and again, every day I was going back to his office with every day with new assignment with some changes, and this is how it all started.
उसके बाद ही मतलब उन्होंने मुझे जो है ना वो अलग अलग तरीके से क्लास में ह्यूमिलेट करना स्टार्ट कर दिया बच्चों के सामने. मुझे सामने बुलाकर डाइस के पास, और वो जो मैं लिख कर लाती थी उसको कहना कि पढ़ के सुनाओ, और फिर उसमें से गलतियां निकालनी. एक्चुअली उन्होंने मुझे बाइबल में से एक टॉपिक असाइन किया था विच वाज अबाउट मूसा की शरीयत को आपने लिख कर लाना है. एंड मैं बिल्कुल वही लिख कर ले गई. मूसा की शरीयत के बारे में जो जो चीज़ें हमारे बाइबल में हैं वो सब मैं लिख कर ले गई. लेकिन उन्होंने क्या किया कि आई डोंट नो कि व्हाट ही वांट, कि कौन सा मसाला वो चाहते हैं, कि उसमें वो क्या चाहते थे, कि जो शायद उन्हें वो असाइनमेंट में नहीं मिल रहा था, या शायद कुछ नेगेटिविटी चाहते थे वो उसमें, या कोई ऐसा पॉइंट चाहते थे जो कि शायद मेरी असाइनमेंट में नहीं था। बट लेकिन जो भी था, जो उनका टॉपिक था, उसके अकॉर्डिंग जो भी बाइबल में उसकी शरीयत के बारे में था, वो सारा मैं लिख कर ले गई, लेकिन उन्होंने वो एक्सेप्ट ही नहीं किया।
So then gradually he started humiliating me in the class in front of the students. So whenever I would be presenting my assignment, he would ask me to come in front of the class near to the desk and then ask me what I have written. I should read it out. And then he would, ask that, okay, it's not right. You have to revise it and it's not being done carefully. Basically, the assignment he again gave me, that was to write about what does Moses' teachings were in the Bible. So whenever I came up with that assignment, so every time he's used to ask me to come in front of the class and explain, and then again rejects my assignment. So I don't know what kind of things he were looking for in my assignment, or what he wanted me to write in that assignment that I wasn't able to understand at that time. So this is how it all went. I went through all these things.
This is interesting because it's very like the situation I suffered in the United Kingdom. It's well known that there are teachers who will mark pupils lower than their work merits simply because of their name or because of the color of their skin. And that is today in England, this is happening. Back in the early days, 40 years ago, or longer, when I was at school, it was very much this idea that certain people could do certain things, and people who looked like me, who came from my kind of background, my parents are from the Caribbean, from St. Lucia, and who came in the 50s, for them, we weren't very good at English, for example. We weren't very good at speaking. We weren't particularly good at reading or literature, all of which things I could do quite well even before I went to school. But it was never respected, so that you were keeping this constant fight, offering your best work and having it rejected. Now, over time, I learned to be strong about that and keep going. But how did you cope with the fact that you knew you could do the work that you were being asked for, that your work was good and of good quality, but when you brought it to your teacher, it was constantly rejected? How did you keep going back? What was in you that kept you not giving up, but keeping going?
एक दिन फिर मेरे मतलब जो प्रोफेसर थे, उन्होंने मुझे अपने ऑफिस में बुलाया और उन्होंने मुझे बिठाया और मुझे कहा कि देखो कि ये असाइनमेंट तो तुमसे नहीं हो सकती। तो मैंने उनसे पूछा क्यों सर, मैं ये 10 बार मैंने ये असाइनमेंट की है। और उन्होंने मुझे कहा कि तुमसे ये असाइनमेंट नहीं हो सकती है, तो तुम पता क्या करो, मैं तुम्हें एक तरीका बताता हूँ। उन्होंने मुझे इस्लाम के बारे में टीच करना स्टार्ट कर दिया और 1 घंटे तक एक स्टूडेंट का एक टीचर के कैबिन में जाकर बैठे रहना वैसे ही बहुत एक अजीब लगता है कि बाहर के लोग क्या समझेंगे कि पता नहीं टीचर स्टूडेंट का क्या रिलेशन है। लोगों ने एक्चुअल में उनके कुछ स्टूडेंट्स थे जिन्होंने ये बात फैलाना शुरू कर दी कि लाइक ये लड़की सही नहीं है या इस बारे में।
So what he did next, that he asked me to come to his office. So when I went to his office, so he said that look, Sanabil, you are not able to do and complete this assignment properly, so I can show you the way how you can do it. And then he started preaching me about Islam and convincing me to go in more depth. And but gradually what happened, that almost for an hour I was in that his office, and in our society it seems very odd that why a student is in a teacher's office for an hour. And there were some other nasty students who started saying bad things about myself, that a usual thing of kind of character assassination. So why I was there with the professor for almost an hour, but he started preaching about Islam.
So one day I decided that I will not, that I will not give him to answer, and I will not going to his office and not sit just right in front of him, and not and no more listening about her creepy things, what he said or what he was trying to do. So I just मेरी अपने आप निकल गई।
Go ahead.
Actually, I just said him, no sir, now I don't want to take good grades in your subject. If I will fail, it's okay, I am happy. I will repeat my semester, and then I will go to my university student affair and then assign a complaint against him. This is what I did uh, when I feel that this is enough, this is unbearable. Now I can't handle this, and I can't, and I don't want. I think I don't need to shut my mouth at this point to just bear quietly. I need to take step for those who do not take step for themselves.
Excellent. Well, in our last few minutes that we have, Sanabil, thank you for telling me about your story. It's very tough. Tell me what you are being helped to do with this kind of situation that you're talking about, being discriminated against because of your Christian beliefs, first of all, and probably most importantly, and from where you're from. What are the organizations around you that are helping you in that situation, if there are any, and how are you helping other people going through the same thing?
Actually, when I face this, no one is helping me, but yeah, I help myself to fight with that kind of situation. I think so. I just simply write an application and submit into my student affair, and then tell. And one of my teachers who is very supportive to me, and she's a female actually, and she can feel my pain. So she helped me that how I will going out all this situation. So he helped me at that time. So yeah.
That's very good. It's very good that there are others who are helping you. Oh, I'm sorry. Go, carry on. I was interrupting then. Carry on.
जी जी एक्टिविटी जी 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 I do like what I do in these days actually, like as an activist, and in which this state Bargat also helps me, Sir Iqbal, who is my mentor also, and he helps me a lot. Actually, he gives me power to speak my incident and talk about myself in public. Otherwise I don't have any strength to speak someone who's or in public, but he's give me strength. So, and he guides me how to tackle all these things. So I am very grateful to him. And recently I do a I am me and my friends are doing little क्या कहते हैं उसको कोशिश को little efforts to merge each of them. Like we from my side, I want to show all my nations or all the religions who lives in Pakistan to show that we are equal. So I celebrate Eid Milad al-Nabi with my friends, with all our Christian and Hindu and Sikh friends, and we are trying to celebrate Eid Milad al-Nabi to show equality between us and that we are a part of this society.
I'm really excited that you're doing this, Sanabil, and I wish you all the best. And I hope that anybody who listens to this will seek out your story and support Minority Rights Group International and what they're doing to support you, because it's very important that there are people like you who've been through hard things, who are still going through hard things, but who are able to tell their story in such an articulate way. So I wish you all the best in your studies. I know, I'm convinced that you do well, but yeah, let's hope that the situation that you find yourself in, less people will find themselves in because of people like you and you speaking about this around the world. So thank you, Sanabil. Thank you very much.
Okay, I'm going to come back in here. Thank you very much, both of you. I think that was very, very interesting, and I'm sure many of our audience found it interesting as well. Just to remind you, we do have some questions coming in, but if you joined us late, if you want to go onto Twitter or Facebook and send a message, just use the hashtag MRG Sofa Talk, and the team will pick it up and relay it to me. But in the meantime, I have one question that I'd like to pick out from what I have on the screen in front of me, which is to ask you, Sanabil, directly. So you talked about your brothers, but we've got a question here about how your parents feel about the way that you're now standing up and campaigning against hate speech. Are they supportive, or do they are they a bit nervous about it?
They are supportive.
और अम्मी अबू कैसे उनको महसूस होता है कि आप हेट स्पीच के अगेंस्ट जो है काम कर रही हैं और किस तरह की सपोर्ट है अम्मी अबू की?
Actually, they proud on me. My father supports me so well. Actually, he's just like my best friend. I don't need any other best friend to share my things. Actually, he is my best friend and he supports me. And sometimes he guides me. He said, just go and support that person who faces these things. Just go and make a strength for that kind of person who faces your condition and who faces your situation right now. So yeah, my parents are so supportive.
It's really great to hear, Sanabil, because you can imagine other parents, particularly of girls, in a culture where girls aren't protected as well as they should be. It's great to hear that your father is supporting you. I'm very happy for you that you have that backup, but it's quite rare, I imagine.
Sorry, another great question here, which is to both of you this time, which is if you come across someone who is still a bit too afraid and nervous to speak out about what's happening to them, what advice would you give to them to make that leap, to not accept it anymore and to challenge something that they feel is wrong?
I mean, I think in a British situation, there are so many organizations and people that you can go to. For example, when I was at school, you know, it was the very early 70s, 1970s, and the idea that pupils could have a body or a group that they could go to complain about the teachers or to say that something has happened, no matter what your situation is, that was just not considered a possibility or even desirable. So I think today there are more organizations that exist. As I said, I can only speak for Britain. It's the only country I know well enough to know. And I suppose France, where I lived a bit, would have been the case. In America, there are people and places you can go to who will help you in those situations. How is it for you though in Pakistan there? Sanabil, are there many organizations like we have, student union bodies and student counseling services, for example?
और कोई यहाँ पर पाकिस्तान में ऐसी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन जो माइनॉरिटी राइट्स के लिए और स्टूडेंट्स के लिए काम करें, कोई स्टूडेंट काउंसिल्स या यूनियंस होती हैं नहीं होती हैं? तो
मतलब पहले क्या बताना था?
Advice क्या करेंगे?
First, when I face these things or when I took a stand about this thing, so I said those people that don't just take these things in your heart and get depressed and stressed, and I believe that those people who just take these things to themselves get destroyed by themselves. So I thought that they have to speak. They need to speak. If we can't speak, how we can change? How we can aware our youth, our parents that we need to talk on these topics, on these things. If we can't talk, then how we can tell something that I have a pain? If I don't tell you that I have a pain, how you give me a painkiller? So I need to talk to you, so you will give me a painkiller. Yeah. So or if you don't listen, then I think I am found my way to myself. If you don't help me, then it's okay. But I am the person who need to stand for myself and who make a way for myself. If no one is here for you, just make a way for you. And when you start making a way for you, other people join and appreciate you. And then the thing which spread the positivity in the society and in nations is that they aware their children in their homes. The children who is just 5 years, he start learning that other nations or other religions exist, and we are just like a friends. We give them the equality, and we saw them like their brothers and sisters. We minority are not treating that as well as a majority treats in this society or nation. But if we don't learn our children or don't teach them that how um, Christians or how Hindus and how minorities, that they are your brothers and sisters, then who can do this? So this is we who can do this, who can speak on this, who can speak about this, and who teach our students or in our. I think this will also making a subject now, that in universities our teachers should start giving us a training that not to spread discrimination and hate speech on these things. And also governments or states should ban on these type of discriminations, I think so. Because in Pakistan I don't see any student council who help the student council, but yeah, a lot of organizations who are working on minority rights, but not as much.
That's so powerful what you say. I'm inspired by you. That is tremendous. That if there doesn't exist organizations or people to help you, then you have to find it within yourself to speak out, to have your voice heard. I'm just, yeah, very inspired. No wonder your brothers look up to you, and many people will. That's extraordinary. Thank you so much.
One more question coming in, which is a question for Sanabil again, which is to ask you if you're optimistic about the future and if you think that the respect for diversity in Pakistan will increase in the coming years.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I see so much positivity after that. When I write my story and it get published, I receive a lot of blessings. Also, a lot of people encourage me. A lot of people appreciates me. So I think diversity should be get very better state, or getting a very better state in our country. I think so that things are going to be changed because we take a step so that the things are going to be changed.
Yeah, it's great to hear that from you, Sanabil, that the future is in our hands and we have to do what we can to change it. Maybe we'll wind it up there. I'll just end it by saying thank you so much to you both. I thought that was really fascinating. I happen to know, Paterson, from previous conversations with you, that it was a teacher, in your case, there was one teacher who stood up for you and made a really positive difference in your life, as well as your family, your parents. Yeah. So I think even though you come from different continents and you've had these experiences in to some extent some years apart and thousands of miles apart, it's absolutely fascinating how many common factors there are and just how much we all have in common in facing these challenges, and each of you individually deciding on your own to make a stand and make things work for you. I mean, that's you each individually resolved the conundrum that you found yourself in by one way or another. So I think it is, as Paterson said, the word inspiration has come up throughout this interview, and I think we're inspired by I think everyone listening, and I know there are people here joining us even from California, where I have to say it's very early in the morning California now, but I know that one of those questions came in from California, so that's absolutely great. So I just think this has been an amazing way to understand that if MRG tries to make some campaigning about discrimination in education, just really understand how that impacts on people at a very granular level, and really understanding like one person's story and how devastating it can be and how much energy and struggle it can take for individuals to get past that, but they do. And as you said at the beginning, Paterson, this is a good news story, which is absolutely brilliant. It's a good news story, but it's one that can still be made better. And I think that's when MRG and the other organizations we're working with in Pakistan, the organization Baragad that Sanabil mentioned, come in to try to help along that journey to make things a little bit better. So I think we'll end it here. But thank you very, very much, Sanabil and Paterson. That was absolutely fascinating. And thank you everybody in the audience who joined. And I do apologize if your question didn't get asked. I think we're just a little bit out of time, and we have to let people who've joined us in their lunch break in the UK go and run and get some lunch before they go back to work. But thank you very much, everybody.